Oh, yeah, yeah. How are you this morning? Okay, what is that on you? Well, almost perfection, not quite. Well, actually, I knew nothing about the Brugmansia plant at all. And a friend of mine came to visit me and had this plant with her. And she said she wanted me to have it. And after I saw what the brooms looked like and saw the potential they had for my art, I became very interested in the Brugmansia as a plant. So I named it Bobo. And so Bobo has been with me, I think maybe 7 years. The piece in your collection is the pure Brugmansia plant, just put on the photo paper and exposed to the sun. I mean, I learned all that just from doing this process, yeah. Brugmansia plant does have a shamanistic history, so that kind of interested me, you know, like it's so beautiful, but it does have a dark side, and I like that. And I hope that kind of gets through in some of my work, yeah. Well, you know about my mailman, because I think that's pretty remarkable that my mailman, when I was a child, and me both have paintings hanging at the museum now. And his name was George H. Ben Johnson. He was the first African American that the museum purchased his painting. He was an illustrator and a graphic designer, and of course I had no idea. Yeah, I remember him well. I went to William and Mary. I majored in psychology, and I audited art classes. Didn't take any art classes for credit. I met Jack when I was a senior in high school. He fought in World War II, and I went to college, and when I finished college, World War II ended, and Jack came back, and we got married, and then he had to finish his education. Then we started on a long odyssey following his jobs. And so finally, after 10 years and 3 children, we came back to Richmond. VCU, which was then Richmond Professional Institute, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to art school. I think really the person that really taught me a lot was Teresa Pollock. She was like an old-fashioned school teacher, you know, but I mean, you really respected her, and she knew what she was doing. She'd been teaching a long time. Abstract painting, I mean, you almost had to do it if you went a painting class in that period of time, but it wasn't my real forte, I guess. I hadn't really discovered what I haven't yet, but I didn't want the oil paint, I didn't want the abstract, I just wanted to try something different. Pop art just burst, sort of, almost that year. So Jimmy was a bachelor, and Jimmy had a pad, and Jimmy had a color TV, and the Supremes were just becoming popular. And my late husband, Jack, he was a photographer, so he took a bunch of pictures off of the TV of the Supremes when we were at Jimmy's. And then I did a painting. Simple. I don't know, it's been a long time, like 50 years. So then I decided I'd really like to know how to take slides of my paintings. Jack, my husband, gave me for my birthday a 35mm camera, and we moved to this house, and I was right in walking distance of VCU, so I took a summer course at VCU to learn how to use my camera, new camera. And the first thing we had to do was to make a pinhole camera, and George Nan was the teacher, and he had all the directions for making the camera, and I don't think anybody was enthusiastic because nobody knew what was going to be the result. Well, then I could not believe what came up in the developer. It was just like a revelation to me. And I knew that that was going to be my next thing to try. So that's what got me started, yeah. And then I tried exposing directly on Cibachrome color material, because color photography came into vogue. And one of the things people printed on was the Cibachrome material. And so I decided, what would it be if I put it in a camera and exposed on it? And it turned out it was blue. The whole thing was blue. So then I had to get people who knew a lot more about it than I did, and a lot of experimenting to find filters to put over the pinhole so that it would adapt the material to sort of natural color. But then there was a lot of variation in how the material would receive the sun and how long. And so then it worked out that swimming pools were a really good source subject matter, because people could lie in the sun, and then you would have the pool beside the people who were your subjects. So that was a good thing. And then still life, I fixed a still life set up in the backyard, and I could use that. That'd take like about a 5-minute exposure. So I was looking for things that stayed still for 5 minutes. And in the midst of the summer, because it seemed like the summer sun was better. And so that it just all worked out, yeah. All these things that I'm talking about, when I made a change, it just seemed like it came like a door opened. I mean, I don't want to be that crazy, but that was the way it was. And that's exactly what happened with the reenactment, because I was using the Pinhole cameras, and I'd just gotten a 4x5 camera that I could use film holders in. Then we came upon this ceremony at the Capitol Square, and it was a reenactment of Robert E. Lee being made the head of the Army of Northern Virginia. And it was incredible. It was the 125th year. They were going to have these reenactments for the next 5 years. I couldn't believe it. It was like, what is this? And there I was with the perfect thing to photograph, because it was not what the photographers used in the Civil War, but it was slow, and it was a good thing to photograph with. So it was like, okay, get out there and do it. So, and from the beginning, I wanted to do both men and women, black and white, rebels and Yankees, because my work is not all Confederate. And it was the most dramatic thing. They had these guys lying on beds and all, and calling for their mothers, and yeah, it was, and they wouldn't let children go in there. And then they had that leg amputation. Wax leg, you know, and the leg line. Oh, yeah. One of my best. I hated for it to end, you know. I've always been a fan of photography, the oldest photography, and I like the imagery, and I've collected photographs from the past quite a bit. And I'm born the 6th of June, which is right smack in the Gemini. So that appears in my work quite a bit. Yeah, when you get the two faces. Mm-hmm. I think mainly I like to try different things, and maybe not what somebody else has done. So most of my work has been based on my life experiences, I think. And just having fun, I guess, yeah. Wait a minute. There it comes.